You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Opening up the truth pipeline for these bitches.
Truth on Tap. Truth.
My right to say how I say it's mine to give my rank, my heart. It's mine to share my songs, my heart.
Truth on Tap.
Right to use. Just the wish to use. Chop it up and recombine. Chop it up and recombine.
I thought you knew. I thought you knew. We're 3 minutes late, bitches, because I felt like coming in late. You gonna do something about it? George Elinas with DJ Arcod and Pulse opening up this bitch. 9:03 p.m. on the 7/17/14. Ain't nobody hating, but we gotta go after misinformation, disinformation, lies, false reality. Kev is on the march. Kev is swinging. Kev is not like the Klitschko brothers. They're great fighters, but they be hanging back. Kev is Manny Pacquiao plus 100 pounds, you see. I'm coming off in this motherfucker. We're going after the thing that takes you away from reality. Are you ready for that? Are you? Are you really ready? Because this is worse than the experience that Neo had when he took the goddamn blue pill. Or did he take the red pill? I think he took both. I mean, you saw the people he was hanging out with at the nightclub, right? Those motherfuckers been snorting. He probably took both and then ended up with just having a bad dream. Woke up under a shade tree. Do you even know? What if that story had been purported as real but wasn't truthful? Think about it for a second, people. Just think. Just use your fucking brains. You've got huge brains. Use them. What are you, a snail? I'm gonna move along to the next inch. And when I do, I'm gonna move along another inch. Shut the fuck up and use your brain. You got a brain. Use it. You don't have to be a goddamn genius. I'm not looking for Einsteins. I'm looking for people who will use the tools they have. Where are you? Call in, 910-NO-LYING. You can find me on Skype, mr.kevin.kierstead. Look it up on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Truth-on-Tap show. TOTS is an easy way to remember that. We may have callers, we may not. We may have chat room participants, they may not come. I don't give a jolly fuck because Kevin is breaking down the knowledge. And you know what I'm thinking about doing? I don't plan these shows. Sure don't. Once in a while I'll pull up a few websites to support my claims. But one thing I'm thinking about doing is to play music through this whole show. Think about that for a second. Just talking over music the whole time. Why not? What, your brain can't handle two forms of entertainment and education at once? Yes, it can. Yes, it can. You don't have to be a multitasker. I don't multitask. People try to talk to me when I'm writing or speaking. I'm fucking lost. I'm a lost. But I admit the fault. I admit the failure. I admit the simplistic thinking. I admit the weakness. If you don't admit it, you cannot grow and you cannot see where you are on the grand evolutionary scale of possibility, people. You have to know where you stand on any graph. That involves an appreciation of and embracing of reality. Reality is an ugly bitch, I'm going to admit it to you, but you got to know what she looks like. You have to. You can't know anything else until you know what's real. Yeah, we'll keep it going.
To Truth on Tap.
Next, we're going to do Low Tag Blanco Slumlord, which gets fucking freaktified. And then after that, generic hip hop session. That'll keep us rolling. Yeah. This has got so much funk, as I've said before, and me and my friend Kim love this song, that if you're not accustomed to funk, if you've never heard a lot of funk in music before, you could have an overdose. Have your phone and just dial 911, but don't press talk yet. That way you only have to hit the one button, because the symptoms of funk overload include walking upside down, dancing on the ceiling, which has happened in certain very minute areas. Occasionally someone will throw up and then stop throwing up just in time not to have thrown up at all. You may call it the gag reflex. Too much funk can get you. It's going to get you. So you got to be careful with that. Are you prepared for this level of funk? Low Tag Blanco Slumlord bringing the funk. They got wheelbarrows full of it. And the door, I just prop the door open because they're just coming through with it. That's not like they're going to be bringing a couple and then leaving. So get ready for that. Let's see how you handle this. Yeah. Thing about music is it can help you communicate. I don't see anything wrong with talking during the music. I may stop later. It may get on my nerves. That's freedom, man. I do this a lot. And we will be getting into Kev Attacks False Reality. I always give you something on the topic. And it's usually 30 or 40 minutes worth. Sometimes it's maybe only 15 minutes worth, because what I'm doing is demonstrating that I have a freedom in this show that I hope you also employ in your life. That is to jump around. Don't be confined. Don't stick to the program. Fuck the program, okay? You can't use your mind if all you're going to do is write a script and follow it. That's not using your mind. Bounce around, bitches. Be able to think fast. I have an apology to make to my friend Jo. She listened to one of my pilot episodes long ago, almost a year ago, and said, Kev, I think you got good potential for this radio thing, but I heard you take a sip of your coffee on the air, and that was unnerving. And I agree with her. It sounds kind of shitty. I've listened to a few of my own shows to see where I made mistakes and where I might improve, and I heard myself take a sip of coffee. That's kind of tacky. I admit that, but my choice is to hit the mute button to take the sip of coffee, and I'm usually moving too fast to think like that, folks. So I ask you, please excuse that lack of class. I agree it's a kind of a low-class move to let you hear me consuming something. But I'm also a guy who plays farts on the air. So there's that. Class will occasionally be one of those caveats that you just have to understand will be there be a dearth of in my program, and that's okay. It should be okay with you. It's not like I'm trying to gross you out or anything. It's just occasional oversight, if you will, and you must, because I did. Yeah, bitches, we're talking about it. I don't think I can keep the music going the whole time. It's going to annoy me. It doesn't matter how good the music is. I can't fully get you to commit to what I'm saying if you're also dancing, especially if you're naked or wearing maybe one combat boot in the street. What's that new Sprint commercial? Did you see that one? That was fucking freaky, man. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What's this one? This is Generic Hip Hop Session 1. It's one of the things that gets me fired right the fuck up. It's only a minute and a half long. I think they screwed up. ENOE should have doubled this track. Just all you got to do is copy the track and some audio program and add that to the end. What a beautiful, fast-moving song this is, and it's only 90 seconds long. I don't know. That's just my view on it. I like it. It gets my brain working. My favorite group of all time, as you may know, and remember, this is nothing but preferences here. This is nothing about being right or wrong or having some sort of magical appreciation for music that's above the fray. Rage Against the Machine is at the top of my list. To me, energy is everything, and they gave me energy consistently with each of their songs. There were a couple I thought kind of sucked. I mean, Guerrilla Radio didn't do much for me. Pistol Grip Pump is my favorite. It's just, and it's something, I'm not even into guns. It just fucking makes you move. It's awesome. The next one after that would be Counting Crows. So you're going, whoa. You just went from Rage to Counting Crows? Yes, I got that thing. And then Sting after that. So you tell me what makes sense. That's what I like. I know what I like. That's what I listen to. But mostly these days I listen to top 40 until it gets into the dumb shit and everybody using the voice thing that makes their everything sync up. with regard to tone and pitch. Fuck that. You know, if you can't sing, don't use computers to make you sing. I listen to Top 40. I listen to, you know, anything that's energy. I call it stadium music, stuff you'd hear at sports venues. That's what I like.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
I think we'll keep the music going for now. We'll do Alex Purple Nurple featuring Go 1D Fish, and then I have to play Saccho 22, one of the queens of CC Mixter, Lamadio Teatro, featuring Erlo, Meg, Borja, and Smojos, things I wouldn't even say in Mexico, because I don't know what they would mean, but I can say them here because I'm quoting. So, yeah, Purple Nurple. It's got a kind of a negative feel to it, but a groovy, I don't know, it's like I sense a little bit of Pink Floyd in it, along with a little bit of B.B. King. Do you smell that in this song? I don't know what I'm getting from this. It's something like a hangover, but more important. That's the artistic impression I get. I want to know how you feel art. How do you feel when you hear this song? It's one of the things, I've studied psychology forever, but it doesn't account for art, the impression of art. That's a beautiful, it's like dark energy to scientists. It's just not understood how art makes us feel. And I love that element of mystery. Yeah, it makes me slow down a little. Look at me, I'm slowing down. Fucking Well, I'm not slowing down that much, am I? I mean, it's not like I'm Chewbacca. Yeah, well, I thought I sounded pretty much like Chewbacca there, but what are you going to do? Yeah, we're getting ready to fight in this bitch, and you know what that means, don't you?
Let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah. I'm wearing 8-ounce gloves. I'm wearing 8-ounce gloves. I am not interested in being polite with this attack on those who would mislead you. And by God, it is basically my religion. I'm agnostic. I need to state that up front so that you're not misled. It is basically my religion to be accurate. If you hear something I say that is inaccurate, is factually incorrect, I'm asking you to correct it for me. And I'll read it on the air, or at least put it on the Facebook page for the show announcement, because the last thing I ever want to be accused of is misleading my listeners. This show may be boring to you, okay? It's going to be on occasion. But that's the cost of getting truth. Remember the news back in the 1940s, 1950s? The shit just reported what happened. It was boring. They had to inject drama in it. Now, that's what made it start selling. Well, I'm back in the 1940s with my news. I'm keeping it real. And keeping it real is not very exciting all the time. But goddamn it, at least you have a grip on reality. You want to live in a false world? You want to live in Hollywood? You want to believe in Roger Rabbit? You want to believe in your false prophets? Go ahead. I can't stop you from that. But if you want to at least know, have a little corner in your mind of what reality is, I'm going to bring that to you. Slowly but surely, progressively, through many episodes, I'm bringing it all to you. And it's not what I think, it's what the great minds have thought. I'm simply relaying it. I'll throw in a little commentary, but it's them. It's them. It's the brightest of all throughout our history that have spoken. And to that, we have to bring up Saccho 22's Lamadio Teatro, which I don't know what that means. I presume it's probably Italian. It could be Latin. What I do know is, because I don't know what it means, I can ascribe whatever value I want for a given topic. I love the song. I think it's beautiful. So today, Lamadio Teatro is going to be Let's Fight for Reason. That's what it's going to stand for. So I usually talk within a given song to the tune of that song, if you will. So that's what we're doing. Lamadio Teatro, fighting for reason. Don't you want reason? Listen, let me tell you some of the harshest people out there regarding reason. One of the, you probably heard of the 4 horsemen of reason and logic, the ones that are living today, but Richard Dawkins is kind of an asshole, isn't he? But I think he's being an asshole partly because that's who he is, but also partly because he feels like he has to be to make a dent. In my first book, Name of Alt, the alien has a pet. His name is Khan. And he's an asshole, but he feels a need to be an asshole. In his species, you had to be an asshole to be heard. And maybe that's what Richard Dawkins is doing. And he's saying, look, there is no God, okay? There is no Prophet Muhammad. And if he did exist, he was just a man. He was delusional. He's saying that there is no Jesus. There may have been a man named Jesus, and he may have had some placebo effect. I don't know if he's right, folks. I'm not lining up behind Richard Dawkins. But 80% of the time, what he's selling is solid reasoning. Now, I think he limits himself because he lives far inside the mind of the skeptic. And the skeptic, to me, the hardcore skeptic, is a person who's relatively lazy in their thinking. They sit inside a laboratory in their little white coat and say, prove it or it doesn't exist. While the rest of us are out there being willing to probe around ideas that don't necessarily have strong support. You have to do that to grow. So I hope more people do that. I hope you keep doing that. I don't want to just limit you to what's been proven empirically over and over in a repeatable, controlled environment. Go ahead and poke around. Maybe ghosts are real. UFOs, I know they're real. I just don't know what they are. I mean, we got to be willing to poke around some. Don't become so indoctrinated into the skeptic's view that you don't look anymore for anything that hasn't been proven and peer-reviewed. Come on now. It's not living. But I'm just telling you, don't believe it until you know. That's all. Lamadio Teatro, fight for reason is what it means for me today. What does it mean for you? Anything at all? Let's go see if any of you fucktardian refugees are in my chat room. I gotta pull up all my shit here. There's somebody in there. Lamadio Teatro. Oh man, yeah, thank you. Apocalypse, my favorite person on Spreaker, and I mean that sincerely. I don't say shit I don't mean unless I'm using comedy. Good to see you in the chat room, brother. Good to see me doing more shows. Well, I'll tell you why, Apocalypse. I was losing faith in my own show. I wasn't feeling it anymore. And I was looking for my voice, if you know what I mean. And I think where I'm my best is when I'm fighting something. Something about me fight. I don't like to fight. I'm a peaceful person. But something about it gets me energized, and people like energy. People love energy. They smell it. You ever hear somebody on the radio going, well, today I was at the doctor and... Yeah, you're not going to listen to that, are you? Unless you're drunk, you're not going to listen to that. Unless it's a woman, because dudes be listening to women no matter what they do. But yeah, we're going to stop it after this song. I need to just talk. Sacjo 22 Lamadio Teatro today means fight for reason. Fight for it. You got to fight through a lot of bullshit to get to the right stuff, folks. I mean that sincerely. There's so much out there, and I'm going to share some of it with you tonight. Sure am. Sure am. Tell them what I said, Wes.
With host Kevin Kierstead.
Yeah. Wes Johnson, you can find him at wesjohnson.com, one of the greatest personalities in the entertainment industry today. I wish he had his own show. He should. He sure should. I'm going to tell him that. I'm telling him right now. Predictability, not something you're going to find with my show. So I'm sending him a message right now. And here's another thing I was thinking tonight before I started the show. I was thinking about picking a radio name. What do you think about that? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it would help? If you think it's cool and you think it's a good idea, I want to hear your ideas for what might be a good radio name for me. And then, I got a friend, he used a radio name generator on the internet, came up with one of the coolest names ever, Crash Jesus. Well, damn, that's funny, it's neat, it's very memorable. I don't have a radio name. I'm thinking about it. I have to be careful because this whole platform that I sell from, which is Truth, when you inject false names in there, you're automatically shaking, potentially, the foundation upon which you claim to be operating from. And I don't want to do that, but maybe people can accept, okay, it's a fake radio name, we get that, but that's okay. At least it's admitted. It's not something he's trying to pass off as real, Rock Hudson wasn't Rock Hudson, but his real name wasn't that cool. Let's see here, to Wes, my friend. He's also the Capitals Arena announcer. His voice has been a lot of famous video game characters. And I'm just telling him, Wes, I just told my whole audience that you should have your own show. How come you don't? And there is that. And maybe it's because he's too busy. It's entirely possible. I certainly could understand that because he's the Washington Capitals Arena announcer. He does voice work. He's in movies as an actor. He also does voiceover work for various productions. Right now, he's actually helping out with, I think it's some I don't know if it's tennis players or something, some kind of Washington team he's doing announcing for. So even in the off season for hockey, he's doing that. He's a very talented guy. WesJohnson.com, W-E-S, not W-E-S-T. You can find him there. Yeah, Kev Attacks False Reality. Oh, hey, Apocalypse said what here? He just got home a bit ago. He works a real job, Apocalypse does. You are an author. That's a good point. I'm an author, and if I use a radio name, then the brand that I'm supposed to be promoting would become in conflict with itself. Yeah, that's a good point. I never even considered using a pen name. I don't understand that. Maybe it's the same as a radio name. If it sounds cooler, it helps. I was reading Dad, Dames, Demons, and a Dwarf by Mancal Muller, and of course his name's not Mancal, it's Eric. And he's been told by many people that Mancal helped him. That nickname helped him. So, do I want to advance on a false positive? I don't know. I don't know if it feels genuine to me. I might. Mostly time. All right, Wes Johnson says he considered it mostly time. I knew it. That's what I was guessing. And just told them. But please let me know if you do. And I will promote the hell out of it. Yeah, Wes Johnson, much skill, that dude. So let's get back to the topic here. Kev Attacks False Reality. All right, folks, you like examples, don't you? While Apocalypse is fixing dinner here, who is a guy who can quickly... Here's what Apocalypse has done. Let me give you a little background on him. He has broken down just about every even semi-major host in Spreaker into 5 or 6 different gangs, because they tend to conglomerate. It's normal, it's natural. And then there's a few lone wolves like myself. But that's how much he listens. To be able to listening comprehension, and put together who's working with who, whether they know it or not, that takes a lot of skill. So he's got a bright future in radio if he wants it. I know he just got a new mic, so I think he's starting to take this seriously, and he's brilliant. And when he speaks, it doesn't take research on his part. He just talks. So that's good. That's a great thing. And I'm 42. I'm older than him. I think he's around 28 or 30. Most of the show hosts on, with a few minor exceptions like Debbie Daly, are younger than me. But maybe, see, this is where you begin to break out of your typical restraints and get into... Younger people can't know that much. I'm sorry, I don't care if you're fucking Doogie Howser. Until you've lived through experiences, there is a certain appreciation you cannot yet have. Now, there may come a day where we can program you. We can just run the cables in and let you live through World War II if you want that experience, but that's not here yet. So until you live through it, you're missing a lot. I feel bad for young people, especially in their 20s. I think living through your 20s is probably the hardest decade. You're old enough now where you got to support yourself, but you're not old enough to get any respect from anybody for your life experiences. And there's a famous quote, I believe, made by, who said it? I'm going to have to look it up because I hate misquoting people. It's the quote itself is, "It is unbecoming for young men to utter maxims." Yeah. And I believe maxims are basically chunks of wisdom. I used to know all this stuff by heart. I got to look it up now. So that was Aristotle. I knew it. I should have just said it. It is unbecoming for young men to utter maxims. Don't try to sound smart if you're younger. Just nod a lot. Just nod a lot when the older people talk. You'll get there. But when you start preaching, it's like, oh my God, what the fuck does he know? I'm sorry, I make that judgment. You've got to have the experiences. You can't just have book smarts and some street smarts, as well as common sense or whatever you want to call that. I think common sense is a misnomer. Because what common sense is, folks, and it applies to this topic, it is the commonly accepted belief about a given topic that, in my opinion, in Kev's opinion, is usually supported more by the lack of evidence against it rather than the presence of evidence for it. Okay, you hear an old wives' tale, nobody disproves it, it stands. It stands in your head. Dowsing works, right? Dowsing for water, it works. Does it? Have you looked it up? Have you looked up the experiment results? Dowsing doesn't really work. Yeah, people think it does, huh? Because you didn't hear it didn't. You look that shit up, you start learning. Magnetic fields are real. The fact that you're holding metal, 290-degree angle piece of metal, that's real. Those things can be affected by magnetism. Those things can be affected by gravity waves if they exist. But we don't know yet. We don't know. And there's certainly no evidence to suggest that it works. What was the point I was making before that? Young man, we kind of went through that. Damn it, I was going somewhere with that. It'll come back to me later. So Aristotle, I'm going to let you off the hook. Actually, Aristotle, who is one of my favorite scientists/philosophers of all time, I'm going to pull up some of his quotes because I think they'll apply here. Oh, I don't need his last name. Quotes. Yeah, here we go. Brainy Quote's a pretty good one. There's plenty of quote sites out there. As long as they get their shit right, correct, I'm good with it. My favorite quote, I think, not really my favorite. I don't have a favorite because they're all parts of a puzzle. But, do you have a favorite puzzle piece when you do a jigsaw puzzle? I don't really, but I like, I guess I like the corner pieces. Those are the stronger ones, aren't they? The more revealing. Let's go ahead and equate it. Why not? I'm drawing a parallel right now between jigsaw puzzles and famous quotes. I like the corner pieces. They give me big clues. It helps me get to figure out how all the smaller stuff fits in. Aristotle had corner pieces in his philosophy. Socrates was all corner pieces. That dude didn't say much that didn't matter. And I mean that sincerely. This is huge, and I remember this quote anyway, but it's here. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. That's probably the most important quote he said, in my opinion. Be able to go ahead and say, okay, I'm a Christian, but I'm just going to ponder for a few minutes, it's not a sin, that there is no God, there is no all-powerful deity. Now, in the back of my mind, I have my full faith, I love Jesus, all that, that's not going anywhere, but I want to go into a circus in my mind here a little bit and just poke the what if, just poke around it. It's okay. Now, if you think that's a sin, okay. If your faith doesn't allow that, I'm good. You don't have to. It's cool. I'm not messing with issues of faith here because there is no reason in religion. You just can't. I can't have that discussion with you. If you believe in it, you believe in it. We're done. But if you are mature enough intellectually to question your religion, I salute you. You may still fully come out of it with faith, but at least question it. At least question Jonas living in the belly of a whale. Ask yourself if this was reasonable, and if that's symbolism, but some of it's literal, who are you to decide what was symbolic and what was literal? Are you that good? You understand ancient texts composed by 40 and 50 authors, written and translated from different languages, some allegorical and some literal? Who are you? Who am I to do that? So, in my mind, you want to have a question mark by everything in your brain. Everything. That you're even here right now listening to me speak should be a question mark in your mind. Socrates, my favorite quote, I guess you could say, is only one thing that I know, that is that I know nothing. How did he get famous? How are we still hearing his name? How did he get in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Socrates, if you will, was someone who didn't claim to know anything. What he did is question. He found at a young age that when you ask questions, you can change the path of what might have been considered fact. And you can completely disassemble it with nothing but questions that are reasonable. Just reasonable questions, not crazy ones. He had a student say, one time he said, I want to ask you to define beauty. The student defined beauty. Socrates looked at it and said, okay, you just said this and this and this and this. And then the student said, well, I hadn't thought about that and that and that. So Socrates says again, please define beauty. By the time he got done, that student didn't know what the hell he thought beauty was. And that's the point. You're not trying to confuse people. You're not trying just to rip them off of a belief. What you're trying to do is make them insist on evidence for their hardcore beliefs. Because that's going to keep them as close as possible to what I call the river of reality. Socrates lived beside that river. And that's how he knew that he knew nothing. The most intelligent people I've ever known have been willing to admit up front, we don't know a whole hell of a lot. I'm going to go ahead and call myself semi-intelligent. I believe that. We don't know a whole hell of a lot, folks. We're operating on maybes most of the time. You should accept that. This ego thing is at work that makes you think you know a certain number of things, and you don't really. Do you not want to believe that? If you don't want to believe that, then you're stepping away from the river of reality. Good luck on that journey. That's all I can tell you. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to read any more Aristotle's quotes right now, so I'm going to close that out because I'm straining my computer right now. I've got about 10 or 12 tabs open, and this computer is just not up for that task. I've got an article up from Salon.com. It is Inside the Fox News Lie Machine. I fact-checked Sean Hannity on Obamacare. We may talk a little bit about that later. I have the pundit fact stats up, okay, for a few famous talk show hosts. 1, Glenn Beck. 2, Rachel Maddow. 3, Bill O'Reilly. I thought I had a couple others up, but I don't see. I thought I had Sean Hannity's up, but I think I went to a different thing for him. Now, you may say, okay, Tampa Bay Times, you're pundit fact, and they also have PolitiFact. Research technologies and practices may be questionable. I encourage you to question those, but when you look at these, I'd say probably 95% of the time, the resources sources they give are reliable. They're reliable. It's provable. It's very convincing. So you go disprove them. I want to see you do that. What they do is they put up these pundits and they give them their stories are either going to be true, mostly true, half true, mostly false, or pants on fire, lying. Okay? Now, we're going to keep this very short here, and I'm going to read you Glenn Beck's file. Very short. Glenn Beck, his highest percentage is tied between false and pants on fire. Do you believe it? Why don't you go look at what he said and what they've picked apart? Now, that doesn't mean that 24%, or might as well say 48% of everything he said was false. What it means is 48% of the things they analyzed were false. He may be telling the truth 75% of the time. But is that good enough for you? See, me, I'm looking for 100%, or I'm just not listening to you. I don't want to hear lies mixed in with truth to fuck with my head. I don't need that. False, pants on fire, 24%. He's been lying, and he may not know it. I'm not going to say he's been lying on purpose, but he's wrong. He's wrong a lot of times. Does that matter to you, or does he tell you what you want to hear? If he tells you what you want to hear, and you're willing to enter that state of a voluntary suspension of disbelief, I can't help you. Socrates cannot help you. Reason, logic, and critical thinking are not going to be tools that move you forward. If you're voluntarily going into a suspension of disbelief to be told things that you don't care if they're true because they feel good for you to hear, you're looking to arm up so that when your system of beliefs is challenged, you'll have something to fire back with. What kind of learning is that? Why wouldn't you just keep an open mind and say, I'm going to keep a working impression in my mind of truth based on reason? You arm up, don't you? You want to believe you know. What good is that? That's not doing you any good, I can promise you that. So there's Glenn Beck. 48% of everything they've looked at of his is false. Not even mostly false. False or pants on fire lying. Rachel Maddow. Of the categories they've looked at with her, to her credit, pants on fire, she's only had 5%, truly pants on fire lying, but she's had 23% false. So there's 28%. That's much better than 48%. 28% of what she said is false. And I got pissed off with her one time when she basically attacked the quasi-congressional hearings of the Disclosure Project headed by Dr. Stephen Greer. I don't care about Dr. Greer. He's a little flaky to me. What I care about is the witnesses that were in that program. I think there were 400 witnesses, many of them being pilots, my ex-Air Force brothers, commanders of various military operations. Commanders are big. They're like way up the chain. When you have a captain of a Navy battleship saying he saw a USO emerge from the water, he probably saw that, especially when he's got witnesses. Astronauts. There are not better witnesses for aerial phenomena than astronauts. Now, what they saw involved alien life? I don't know. Most of them are not claiming it did. They're simply stating what they saw and that it deserves to be disclosed to the public and that it deserves rigorous scientific investigation, not to be ridiculed and laughed at. Astronauts are the best witnesses there are for aerial phenomena, followed only by pilots. And there were a couple of hundred astronauts and pilots there, many of the astronauts being former pilots. So don't tell me, my Air Force brothers at Rendlesham Forest, they don't lie. They're not going to lie about something like that. You're terrified to lie. It's even probably more terrifying to come forward with the truth after you've been classified. But they did. They did. Not one of them that I know of has sold a book. All right, we're not just talking airmen here. We're talking colonels. We're talking officers, too, not just enlisted. And Rachel Maddow's going to say, basically what she said was, oh, they're pretending to have congressional hearings about UFOs, and basically ridiculed the whole thing. Well, fuck you, Rachel. Who are you? You know, you're telling me astronauts and pilots don't make good witnesses? That they didn't see something in the forest that was glowing various colors that one of them touched and another one wrote down notes of the symbology from? You think they're just making that up, do you? As a group. One individual can be delusional. One individual can have an agenda. When you start getting groups of men together who were honorably discharged and you're telling me they're not being accurate, I have a problem with you now. They're the more reliable witnesses than you. So, yeah, she pissed me off there. But most of the time, I think she's pretty intelligent, pretty witty in her stuff. You know, like I said, 28% of her stuff has been proven false. But she's got 14% true, 23% mostly true. So, let's see, 23, 33, 37% of everything she said has been pretty accurate. Half true is 14%. And then you get into mostly false, false, and pants on fire. Let's close the Rachel Maddow's file. And remember, these are people that their listeners are taking their word as the gospel. Is that okay with you? You just want to be told what you want to hear? Well, yeah, some of it's not true. Bill O'Reilly. What do you think his? Let me see if anybody's in chat room. See if you can guess if you haven't Googled this already. You guys are welcome to go ahead and put forth what you think Bill O'Reilly's truth rate is going to be, or false rate. If I had to guess, and I looked at it, but I don't remember what I saw, so I'm going to go ahead and give a fair guess here. I would say, when it comes to Bill O'Reilly, I'd say at least, he's got a huge team of researchers working for him now, but I don't know the historical period in which Pundit Fact was doing their research, so I'm going to assume it was for the last 10 years, which is going to take his truth rate up, because he's had a bigger team in more recent years working for him, which are less likely to make mistakes. But I'm going to guess that at least 35% of what he said has been either pants on fire or untrue. Let me see how close I was. Pants on fire is 8%, false is 38%. So 46%, almost half of everything Bill O'Reilly said that they've looked at has been false or pants on fire, untrue. They've got references, folk. You can check the references. Do you just want to believe what he says? I can't help you there. Socrates can't help you. Aristotle, Plato, Kant, Pythagoras, none of them are going to be able to help you through this if you're being told what you want to hear. I don't know. I don't know why someone would accept that. I could not live like that. Yeah, man, just tell me what I want to hear, you know? Pundit Fact Truthometer. Let me, I'm going to see if I can pull up the top names here, and we're going to do one more before I do that. But let me go ahead and go to home on Pundit Fact. And you know, if you have a problem with Pundit Fact and the way they do their research, please tell me. You know, we may need to put some sort of condition on their analysis structure. That's okay. I don't mind that, but I need to see your evidence for it, because they include references. I don't know how much more thorough you can be than to include references that prove someone wrong, unless the references themselves are unreliable, which you can also check. Very simple stuff to do. 25 examples that prove Rush Limbaugh is a low-information radio host. Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say. Yeah, I think that's pretty safe. Well, he perpetuates hate and a narrow-minded view of social policies. He may be pretty smart when it comes to fiscal issues. I'm good with that. I don't have a problem admitting that. And same with Bill O'Reilly, to be honest with you. But inside of them is a motivating force. And that motivating force revolves around a couple of things that the broken manimal inside of them is thinking. And that is this. I'm a white man. That shouldn't matter to you if you're a fair person. It shouldn't. I'm a white man, therefore I must promote those things that promote white men. That's terribly narrow-minded, folks. I see this a lot with races. I see it more with minorities, and maybe they feel like they've got a bigger fight to fight. But have you seen that? People who weren't political at all are suddenly jumping in and defending Obama because they're black and he's half black. That's not a good reason, folks. It's really not. You need to understand someone's politics and their actions in the past to be able to defend anything. And you should always be willing to point out where they've made mistakes. If you're not willing to see that your guy, quote unquote, has made mistakes, then you're just not being intelligent. I can't help you with that. It's one of those things. It's like parents defending their kids. Their kids can do anything, can't they? And the parent's going to get in there and defend them. It's not really, there's a natural element there that we keep ignoring. When you look at the prison populations in America, the blacks hang with the blacks, the Hispanics with the Hispanics, the whites with the whites, the Asians with the Asians. And then if something happens, they blame each other, don't they? Couldn't have been us. Couldn't have been us. We can do no wrong. That's a ridiculous thing to think. I wish people would stop that. Your kids can fuck up, you know that, right? They really can. They're not perfect, and neither are you. All right, so we're done with Rush Limbaugh for right now because I think he's almost a circus on the air. Sean Hannity, did we talk about how many he lied about? Latest from Pundit Fact. Yeah, these are going over individual, but I want to look up actual statistics. Let's look up Hannity's record. All right, go ahead and guess. What do you think Hannity? What do you think he's been found to be telling truth about? Let's see. By person. Well, I need to see his whole thing. So why are you taking me to I see a lot of pants on fires there. By person. Yeah, let's go by person. Browse the truthometer. Browse by speaker. Yeah. Why couldn't you? I don't understand why they couldn't alphabetize. All right, so Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity's calling himself an independent? Oh, that caught me off guard. Now, get this, guys. Sean Hannity, of all the things he said, they haven't found any pants on fire lies yet. However, they found 27% false and 9% mostly false, with another 27% half true. Half trues are the most poisonous things you can find in education because they carry more weight than they should. They carry more than half of their weight, so in my view. So here's how much truth he's told. According to them, that would be 27% plus 9%, so 36% truth. The rest, not entirely. But at least he didn't get any pants on fire. It's good for you, Sean Hannity. I'm surprised because it showed some of his statements getting pants on fires, but they didn't. I don't know. Let's see one of the false ones. Under President Barack Obama, 8.3 million fewer Americans are working today than were 4 years ago. Came out as just pure false. A valid concern, incorrectly described. Mostly false. False again. July 2010 government said small business 60% will lose their health care, 45% of big business, and a large percentage of individual health. False. It's just false. Do you care about that? Or do you just want to believe them because it helps you hate the administration? At least recognize it. If you have any balls, admit it. Say, look, I fucking hate this administration. So yeah, I like to hear things that, whether they're true or not, help me feel that way. Good for you. At least you're admitting it. But then you'll realize there's not a lot of reason involved in that, is there? Critical thinking, not used. Not used. A certain amount of animal behavior, certain amount of animal thought, hating in there, disliking, feeling fear that you don't want to recognize because it turns into anger on the flip side of the coin. And you don't want to recognize that you are uncomfortable with something that scares you and you therefore hate it. I couldn't live like that. Bless your heart if you can do that. Listen to people's lies because it feels good for you to hear them. Hannity on Obamacare. They tore him apart in this article. I'm not going to do that. It's just not in my interest. The facts speak for themselves. I find that Fox News, in my opinion, is one of the more likely news sources to lie, and that they do tend to perpetuate things that have both a violent outlook and a hatred for minorities, including and women. It's the white man's network. Now you'll see exceptions there, but for the most part, not. I'm sorry, I've seen too much evidence against it. I just can't come to any other conclusion other than they're a machine that perpetuates hate, who is also very responsive to their audience who wants to feel hate. If you listen to just one news source, you're going to be lopsided. Doesn't matter which one it is. I don't care if it's BBC. BBC is my favorite news source. They still have an agenda at any given time. To me, they just seem to be the least biased in any direction. They seem to be the most likely to just report the facts, no matter how boring they are. That's what I like. But I still look at 5-6 different news sources all the time to get the different flavors mixed up and ascribe my little credibilities and see what they're worth. Let's see here. I've been talking like a madman, so we're going to take a little break here. But what we're going to do after that is we're going to ramp it up, and we're going to come from the philosophy angle this time. I'm going to get into the Socratic method with you. You may think you know it, but I'm guessing you don't know it fully. If you're an expert on this, on Socrates and his type of thinking, I'll still have some nice little seeds of information I'll throw in there, and we'll go with that. I don't know what's going on in the news. I haven't looked at the news today. I see this Malaysia Airlines passenger jet shot down over Ukraine. They're going to try to turn this into something, folks, relating it to the other airliner. Don't let that happen. Look at them both as separate and collect separate evidence in your mind for those, okay? I'm just telling you right up front, I know what the news does. Especially, this is on Fox News, so what they like to do, a lot of news organizations, including Fox News, is string events together to make it look like an epidemic or pandemic when it's not. It's not. All right, so that's I'm not going to read any more of that. 298 dead. Do they have any suspects yet? It wasn't the separatists, although Russia will try to blame them or blame the Ukrainians, says retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. Probably a spokesperson for the right. This is what I tend to see with quotes they use. I'm sorry, you got to have a wide varying body of resources from all political avenues for me to give any credibility to those types of quotes. Fox News is notorious for lining up pieces from the right to speak, so I can't trust them. I'm sorry. I've seen too many times where they've told pure lie and called it fact. Whether they knew it or not is not what I'm here to debate. What I'm here to debate is the accuracy. And Fox News does not have a good record for accurate news delivery. Closing that out. So let's see. We got news up. We have some more news up here. I haven't looked at news today. And so we'll do that when we come back. We're going to get into Socrates, and we're just going to get into critical thinking again. It's a big deal. It needs to be employed every day by the intelligent mind. Every day. It's not hard. Once you learn it, it's like anything else. You're restructuring the way you take in and process information. That's all you're doing with critical thinking, and you're insisting that it comes with evidence for you to put a lot of faith into it. That's all. That's all it is. So let's see what we've got here. I didn't get as far as... Now we're going to save that because I may talk during those. I owe Bad Ace a play. I haven't played them in quite a while, so we'll do Bad Ace Matchbox. Bad Ace, you can find them on badace.com. You can also find them on Facebook. I have a friend in that group named Todd, great guy. And I'm going to play a little commercial that tells you where to find Todd. He also has a I got to pre-listen to this to make sure it's the right one. He's a drummer in the band. Yeah, so we'll play that. That's going to come up after the Bad Ace song. La Mario Tiado. I don't even know what that means, man. Probably means lemons and tomatoes or some shit. That is my voluntary suspension of disbelief right there. Alright, Bad Ace Matchbox going to come then. Well, let's see. One of the ones... Soda 18 Pieces? I thought I'd played that already. Maybe I haven't. I don't think I have. I'm going to play that later because I like to talk during that one. Grapes, I don't know. Jazz Addicts, yeah, we'll play that. We'll play that. Jazz Addicts, you can find them at Jazz ADDIXX. You can find them on Facebook as well. And I got to go way up here to see where I was. So you're going to have Bad Ace with Matchbox, and then Jazz Addicts with say bitch. And then I'm going to throw up a song I made in Reason 5.0. It's not that good, but it's not that bad. It should get you moving. I'm curious to hear what you think about it, because if it gets your legs moving when you're not thinking, then I win. I do. That is that, and here goes
You're
this.
listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
To the question that you asked me some years ago, do you ever think you're gonna find your freedom on a matchbox floor? I'm telling you now, it's been lonely, it's been cold, I've been selling, I've been sold, but they never did break my love. It's been a long, long ride. It was never so easy to be caught up in the rain with a pocket full of shame, no prescription for the pain, your connection's down again. Sooner or later your eyes go blind, you come back down for a friend to find, but they all left you behind. Oh, there ain't no profit for pride on the east side, no, 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 no. And the dogs that leave you for dead on the county line. And you hide all your dreams in a matchbox on the floor. And you're praying to God the man don't know your door. Another one on the floor and beg for more. Did you do your copies such as gracefully? Now you're lowering your flags. Oh, as I bang up the bags. So put up the pictures and tie the blinds. Start a new mission for the last time. Chase all your demons with a superstitious mind. Choose all your weapons from the wicked kind. You tell me your reason, you never beware. You're living in fear that you just might care. But no one is listening when your heart is whispering in the toilet of a public square. And there's no one around you. Oh, but they always surround you and drown you. So you do what they say and you walk another line, but you better take your time. Oh, the creatures sure to lead you back to shadows where the thieves will steal your dreams. And the creatures will show you, then pretend they don't know you, and the stranger will stone you and politely condone you. Yeah, but ain't that life? There ain't no profit for pride on the east side. No, 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 no. And the dogs will leave you for dead on the county line. And you hide all your dreams in a matchbox on the floor. Oh no. And you're praying to God to a loaded 44. Now I've got an answer to the question that you asked me some years ago. If I could only get you up again from the matchbox floor.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, if you like the music by Bad Ace, make sure to check them out on Facebook or at badace.com, just like it sounds. For those of you in Southeast Virginia, I'm going to show you how small the world can be. The drummer from Bad Ace also owns an HVAC company called Western Shore Heating and Cooling. They do the works: AC, heating, air purifying, geothermal, repairs, all of that. You can find them at westernshoreinc.com or call 804-725-8984. I've known Todd, the owner over there, forever, and he's one of those guys that everybody loves, and you'll see why when you get in touch with Todd at Western Shore Inc.
And many more for your spirit to grow. See what you're hearing as our lyrics to go. For sure, award towards when you hear it, you know the true dope. Never fear it, just grow. Yo, cause it yo. It's flavor like adobo. It's major when I quote flows. Call me the po-po. This a go. I gave it a whole show, so don't slow the vocal to add them the vocals for later. Beta tested the best is the fertile crest and the freshness. Learn your lesson, the rest is the perfect weapon. Keep stepping in the direction of home base. We're blessed with our own case, a method, so we step at our own pace. Take a minute, look around, you see the world that you're missing. In opposition, inspirations never impossible. Let it repeat and then rock with the beat and then repeat it again. Are y'all ready to breathe again? Slow down, little youngin' with your grind on. Get your timing right, the limelight's no place to get your shine on. Don't drown the signs on you in the deep end. Breathe it in and it really begins. We got records that actually spin. No iPhone, compose this with a pad and a pen. On my phone, I'll be yapping with family and friends. In my zone, this is where your reality ends, and we're at it again. It's no tricks up the sleeve, just have faith and believe in yourself for go wealth, for good health and sunshine. Look to the sky, get your supplies for the front line. Look in my eyes, I'm thinking lies, it's front time. So one time, 1, 2 times 2, 2. Even you and the crew can do what we do. Never impossible. Let it repeat and then rock with the beat and then repeat it again. Are y'all ready to breathe again?
To Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead. Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Hey yo, ladies and gentlemen, meet your adrenaline, settle in, it's medicine. Doper than a 7-man, provoking you to let us in. Vocals are effortless, hoping you never miss when approaching a specialist. It's Togo, your man Focho, your man Soapso. They're playing Rodo, break bread at 400. Degrees and please MCs, no need to freeze, just flee. You see, we be the best to bless the stage on a higher degree. There's none flyer than we, a fire the steep, but fire we retire the beat. Desire, amplify the crease, try and compete. Design with the heat, you find my fleets dying to heat. You know we all get the fat itis. My old Midas touch reaches, reach your whole light is up and heats. My speech a coal miner to a diamond beach. We been working, searching for that perfect piece. Hey yo, my advice is to you, think twice. Jazz Addicts is the crew, we get nice, precise with the rhyme on the cut. The illest lemonade was a popular drink and it still is. Now that you're following, it's time for the hollering. So scream for the oxygen, bright light, a halogen night light. We got them in sight, right? We're rocking the right. Where we want them, stay tight without a problem. Excite, right? Don't overheat, just jump when you wanna. Fist pump when you wanna. Bass no, this is on. We gonna keep it hot in here, let's persevere. No drama, just good karma first. Yeah, I put you in the sky, a peace sign for a beast rhyme. No decline, blocking stunners that release shine. We carefree at the moment and we own it. Enjoy the aerial view through your stereo components. We know for blasting percussion and rapping production and rapping at function. Slapping you suckers, amassing the love is so massive. These brothers on task is the toughest. Bump this, trust us when we say my advice is to you. Think twice. Jazz Addicts is the crew. We get nice, precise with a rhyme on the cut. See the illest lemonade was a popular drink and it still is. Lemonade was a popular drink and it still is. I give more props. I give more props. Jazz Addicts is the crew, we get nice, precise with the rhyme on the cut. The illest lemonade was a popular drink and it's
listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Rep Rabble, yeah. How about Genghis, featured Stereo Black Star, Super Negro. Black Star! Yeah, you know what's up, don't you? I do. I'll just talk during it because I don't care. We're getting back into logic, reason, critical thinking. Being smart, folks. Being smart in a way that is not the knowledge of facts books have taught you. I mean, they taught me that Chris Columbus discovered America. That's a fucking lie. It just is. There were natives here. The Vikings discovered it in 900 AD. The ancient Egyptians may have discovered it, just not know where they were. Shut the fuck up with Christopher Columbus. He was what, the 5 millionth person over here? Get the fuck out of here. Critical thinking, man. You're not going to get anywhere without it. I promise you this. We're going to look dumb. If we live for another million years, our species, and we look back at what we thought today, we are going to look prick-tarded, to use Joanne's favorite word. Yeah, we are. But the way we can get there from here is to start employing critical thinking at all times. But you know what I've been making a mistake about? You know what I've been underestimating? I've been underestimating the broken animal. We have emotions. We have inherent instincts that we cannot dismiss in an information age. They drive our behaviors. That's what Super Negro says. In French and shit. You can't be hard in French. Y'all know that, right? Put the gun away, bro. You ain't gonna do nothing but start a race with that gun. Don't. Give me all of your croissants and some cafe au lait. Shut the fuck up. You ain't hard in France. Yeah, you ain't hard. Je ne sais pas. Yeah. Listen to that shit. Trying to be hard in French. It sounds like somebody stuck on Wheel of Fortune buying vowels. A-E-I-O-U, A-U-U-I-A-O. Way too many vowels in French. We'll be done with those in a second, and I'm going to get on with the Socratic method. If you listen to all of my radio shows, you're going to become an expert on Socrates. He cannot be overstated. And I'm going to explain again the way he did it. It wasn't with book facts. Had nothing to do with book facts. And that's why his lessons are timeless. Stick with me here. Yeah. We're coming to the end. Genghis featuring Stereo Black Star, Super Negro. I love saying that because I can say it because it's a title. If I were to say Super Negro for any other reason, you may conclude that I was racist or not racially sensitive. I'm neither. I'm neither racist nor racially insensitive, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth. Don't like a racist from any race. If you're racist, fuck you. You're a narrow-minded prick. There, I said it. I mean, that's the truth. That's my view. You're no better than anybody else because of your color. So there it was, Stereo Black Star. I'm gonna stop because we got Rupert 1073 with Fiesta coming up. I may talk during that, but right now, you and I are going to take a little walk down memory lane, not mammary lane. There are plenty of shows that sell sex. This one doesn't. Anything is possible in the future, but that is highly unlikely. Socratic method. Have you learned this already? Don't feel like you're here. Hey, consider it review, but there's also going to be some new shit thrown in. And I'm on Wikipedia, and I'm tired of seeing people hate on Wikipedia. You know why? You're saying, well, it's maintained by the public. Anybody can say anything. Yeah? And textbooks are any different? How? Let me tell you something. At least Wikipedia gives sources. They give sources. You can check the shit. I'm looking at the bottom of this one. I've got references. Just the references listed are 19 references just to describe Socrates. Further reading, they have articles 2, books about 7, external links about 9. There's plenty of stuff to back up what's being said here, and yes, it can be corrected. So no, it shouldn't be looked at as the gospel, but what should? Socrates would ask you, here's what Socrates would say if he were alive today. Tell me if I'm wrong. He would look at this Wikipedia site, and he would read it. And he would say, okay, there may be some wrong information here. And he would say to you, I want you to prove to me that this is any less accurate than any scholarly article or other academic work written about me. Prove it to me. And you'd be left shuffling through papers and quoting people that you didn't know how much credibility to ascribe and using lines of reasoning that were not stable to try to show that Wikipedia was not a reliable source of information. Yet, after he read what you put forth, he may come back and say, and I would not put this past Socrates, that Wikipedia was the most accurate representation because it was growing and changing with new information. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? You think Socrates might have said that? I do. Don't be afraid to think new. You know, you hear this bullshit. Oh, don't trust Wikipedia. You can't quote Wikipedia in academic papers. You know what? Fuck them. You give me references and I'm good. Socratic method, also known as method of Elenchus, Elentic method, or Socratic debate, named after the classical Greek philosopher Socrates, a form of inquiry and discussion between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and to illuminate ideas. Carry this with you like a lucky coin, folks. When you want to talk about Socrates, what you're talking about is asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate ideas. Your You're mulling it over. You're asking it in different ways. You're dissecting it. You're looking at the individual components. You're taking out the weak parts, adding in strong parts, and coming out with something a little more solid. This is how you're going to progress in your education about life or anything else. It is a dialectical method, and that means that two people are talking, often involving a discussion in which the defense of one point in view is questioned. This is used by lawyers all the time, folks. I mean, they live by the Socratic method. One participant may lead another to contradict himself in some way, thus strengthening the inquirer's own point. Well, that's not necessarily true. In fact, Socrates would say, I wasn't trying to make a point when I questioned this participant. I just wanted to show that his point wasn't as solid as he thought it was. So that's a little bit of a reach there to say it's strengthening the inquirer's own point. Socrates would tell you, I didn't know anything to begin with. So what point was I making? Other than his point wasn't as accurate as he may have thought it was. The Socratic method is a negative method of hypothesis elimination, and that better hypotheses are found by steadily identifying and eliminating those that lead to contradictions. The Socratic method searches for general, commonly held truths that shape opinion and scrutinizes them to determine their consistency with other beliefs. That's not always true either, because they can be used to determine their consistency with actuality, and actuality can be shown by a preponderance of the evidence that's overwhelming. So I'm going to disagree with that a little bit because it's too limiting. That's all. I think Socrates would too. The basic form is a series of questions formulated as tests of logic and fact intended to help a person or group discover their beliefs about some topic. Exploring the definitions of logoi, that's L-O-G-O-I, which is singular logos, seeking to characterize the general characteristics shared by various particular instances. And that's all a bunch of big words to basically say this. What I'm doing using the Socratic method is I'm not just going to investigate what you're saying. I'm going to investigate the beliefs from which those thoughts came and pick apart those beliefs. Because if you can take out the foundation of a building, the building will not stand. And Socrates was known for going after the foundations. You know, you're coming at me with B, C, and D, but I want to talk to you about A. Yeah, you built everything on A. Let's talk about A. And he could disassemble it with nothing but questions. No knowledge that A was wrong. That's not what he needed. Just the questions that you hadn't bothered to ask or no one else had to that point. I don't know about you guys, but I like to be accurate in my understanding of reality. Accurate is important. And you can't do it without the Socratic method, or at least something similar to it. If you hate Socrates for some reason, I don't know why you would, go find another fucking philosopher that understands critical thinking and follow them. Aristotle attributed to Socrates the discovery of the method of definition and induction. He's talking about inductive reasoning here, which he regarded as the essence of the scientific method. That is considered that now, inductive and deductive reasoning. In the second half of the 5th century BC, sophists, and as you remember, sophism was before Socrates, were teachers who specialized in using the tools of philosophy and rhetoric to entertain or impress or persuade an audience to accept speakers' points of view. Socrates promoted an alternative method of teaching, which came to be called the Socratic method. This is giving examples of his, visiting the Oracle Delphi and then Athenians following him, and much like Pythagoras, he developed a following, a body of students, and you see that repeated throughout history with those who had interesting ways of thinking, especially if they were revolutionary ways of thinking. Plato famously formalized, and this is where we're starting to get into tying some loose ends up here. Plato famously formalized the Socratic eclectic style and prose, presenting Socrates as the curious questioner of some prominent Athenian interlocutor. Well, that's a big fucking fancy word to say the other participant in a discussion. In some of his early dialogues, such as Euthyphro and Ion, and a method most commonly found within moral and epistemological issues. This is another form of science that relies on data collection and building rather than just wild allegations. But in his later dialogues, such as Theaetetus and Sophist, Plato had a different method to philosophical discussions, namely dialectic. The phrase Socratic questioning, is used to describe a kind of questioning which the original question is responded to as though it were an answer. This in turn forces the first questioner to reformulate a new question in light of the progress of the discourse. And this is what I was telling you earlier about his student wanting to define beauty and how Socrates turned it on its head and said, tell me what you mean by that. And it forces you to go, wait, I don't think I know what the fuck I'm talking about, you know? And when you do that, it's just as important in your education as you pick up new facts to lose wrong facts. You've got to lose them. And you can only do that through questioning your beliefs. Yeah, I could read on about Socrates. I am going to go ahead and list this. Go ahead and tell me that Wiki isn't a reliable source. I don't care what you say. I've looked at the resources. It looked pretty accurate to me. About 90% of it was spot on. So I'm putting the thing there. And I want you to prove to me that it wasn't a reliable source on Socrates. Tired of these fucking... it's... Somebody wanted to get their name on... Have you ever noticed how easy it is to set up in the business of attacking someone? It's just so easy. There's no cost. You just set up, hey, they're wrong. Hey, yay. What? How? Show me. Socrates would have a ball with people today. He would just... His life would be so much fuller in this information age than it was in his age. He needed the internet. He needed pundits. He needed 24-hour news coverage. He needed the variety of news that there is today for him to just chomp up and assault. And to show you that what I'm saying is not right. What I'm saying is that you don't know if you're right. And that's an important gauge on the accuracy of the information you're claiming as your truth. It's really that simple. He was a simple guy in his thinking. He was complex in his reasoning. But that reasoning is still able to be understood. We know this. So I'm putting the link to this thing about Socrates. I would love for you to take a look at it. I'm going to post that there. I'm also going to post, as I almost always do, criticalthinking.org. And again, I'm not pretending I'm some sort of master of critical thinking here. I'm telling you that I've been a fan of it for about 20 years. I've been learning things. I haven't been studying it, in an isolated sense. I've been taking it in with everything else. But this website, criticalthinking.org, is one of the most, I would say it is one of the most complete in its assessment of what critical thinking is and what you can do with it. And I trust them. I have no reason not to trust that website. Everything they've been putting forth is important. And it just teaches you how to think. It's not telling you what to think. It's not telling you who's lying and who's telling the truth. It's telling you how to figure out who's lying and who's telling the truth. I don't know. Maybe that's not important to most people. I think I overestimate the human need for truth. And maybe I do. I don't care. It's still important to me, so I got to go with what I believe. Socratic circles, we're getting into some stuff there, so I'm going to leave that alone. Critical thinking, I've got another website here called academia.edu that has a great, simple guide it's a practical guide for students and academics regarding critical thinking, and you can get it, you can either read it on the web or it's got a PDF file there. I'll throw that in. So we're going to make this show complete by doing things such as this. And then we'll just talk here. Let's see, second half of my show, I do occasionally open it up to whatever. There's Stabby McHugs. What up, you? Stabby's an attorney, very, very intelligent. So what he says here is going to be valid. I already know. Stabby says, all hail the Socratic method. I knew he would like it. He's a lawyer. Wikipedia can be good if the pages are sourced and annotated. Amen, Stabby. That's what I'm saying. Not all of them are. Especially the more obscure topics. You'll have an entry or two with no sources, and you're going, I don't know. Okay, that's not reliable. I agree. But most of these things, especially the more well-known ones, multiple amounts of sources and constantly updated. So it sort of is a living, breathing thing, and I like that. But if Wikipedia says Obama is an alien, then gives no links to the original material or link is from Alex Jones, then you can maybe distrust that article. It's true. Sources don't mean everything. You got to look at your sources. Well, I said earlier, can you trust the source? That's an important That's something Socrates would attack. You're telling me B, C, and D, but I'm going to start questioning you about A. You took A as presumptively correct. And I'm telling you, A may not be correct. Socrates loved doing that. Good to see you, Stabby. Stabby McHugs also has a radio show, as you guys may or may not know. I will link to his show and Apocalypse show on my Facebook announcement for this show. Copy link location. And there we go. And see, he's got a radio name, but Apocalypse tells me I shouldn't have a radio name because I'm an author. I don't use my radio format to promote my books, though. So would it really matter, Apocalypse? There's a good Socratic question. We're making a common assumption here that I want my radio program to also help me sell books when it's not true that I do. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm stupid in a business sense for that, but I don't care. I figure they'll sell for their merit, and I don't need to constantly promote them. And they're not selling that good, so maybe that is part of the problem. But it's all right with me. It's all right. I didn't get in it to get famous. I don't do this to get famous. I do this as a form of socializing and questioning my own beliefs and helping you question yours. Truth, man. Truth is lacking. It is really lacking. We don't have enough of it. Truth is a word that has been modified. Have you noticed in the past 20 years or so? It can mean a lot of different things. I got to take you back to the Webster's definition. I mean, that's my thing. It's truth is truth. There are no versions of the truth. Somebody once said that. Apocalypse Show will now be listed under the announcement for this show as well. Apocalypse with his new microphone. He's about to take the next step in his radio show program. And that's cool. So we're just talking now. I do have news up here. I would like to know, you guys in chat room, tell me your top 3 or 4. Don't be ashamed if it's something I disagree with, because you may be right and I may be wrong. Your top 3 or 4 most reliable sources of news. And by that I'm simply saying that they use very little bias in any direction, and they may be seen as boring as a result of that because they do not inject drama into their news. I'd like to know your top 3 or 4 sources that you like to go to if you want news, if you're in the mood for news. Some people aren't news buffs. They find it all so commercial now that it's just trying to sell ads. Maybe that's true. Maybe it is. I can't argue that. But I have to follow it. I have to know, at least think I know what's going on. So, drones in Yemen, how U.S. attacks are devastating. Yeah. My favorite news source, if I had to go to an island and I could only take one news source with me, I would take BBC at this time. That could change at any time in the future based on scandals breaking and reliability of evidence and data collection and all that kind of thing. Let's close this page. See what you guys have had to say in the chat room about news. Stabby says, that's what I'm always asking to people who bitch about mainstream media. Me too. Have you noticed, Stabby, that the people that bitch about mainstream media who call it, quote, lamestream media, unquote, Sarah Palin, shut the fuck up. You're an embarrassment, okay? You need to go revise your education. You embarrass me. I'm so glad you didn't get into office. You may have some fine ideas on social or political issues, but you don't know a whole lot. Your background in education has got many holes in it. And you know what the lamestream media is? It's the majority. It's what most news sources are saying. That's lame. That's lame because your narrow view, way off on one side or another, is the non-mainstream. So that's a silly attack. You know, mainstream media is the big core of what people are saying the truth is right now. And you're saying, oh, that 80 or 90% of media is wrong. Mine's right. Fox News is right. I don't know about that. I think that I would be able to give Fox News a lot more credibility if I didn't smell hatred bleeding off of their telecast. I just smell it. I can sense it. And I used to watch right after 9/11 when I didn't know much about. I didn't think much about news bias. I would watch Fox News all the time. It took me about a year to figure out what they were doing. And then when I was back in college the second time and saw all the movements against them and started reading a little more, I realized, holy shit, now I went and looked at a lot of other news sources too, thinking, who else is doing this? And I didn't come up with a lot. Fox News had a grip on how to harness what people feared to turn it into what they hate to make them tune into the next program. Bill O'Reilly is the exclamation point on the end of that sentence. You know, if he thinks he's losing an argument, what does he do? He raises his voice and yells. Back to the caveman. He's speaking to his caveman followers. Very unintellectual process there, if that's even a word. So yeah, well, I don't know, you know, how much more I can talk about attacking the lack of reason, but I think we do need to spend a little bit of time talking about mis and disinformation. You have to understand that in any situation, whether it's government trying to cover up a project, which they need to do for national security, or news trying to cover up a scandal within their own organization, they're going to use misinformation. They're going to give you trails to chase down that have no end in the hopes of distracting you from the facts, and that happens very commonly. Let's take a look at Info Today. I don't know if I trust them. Boston bombing, the anatomy of misinformation. That's the Atlantic. I don't trust them. Salon it leans to the left, but I'm going to pull it up anyway because they're talking about Fox, and we were just talking about them. So they call it Fox's misinformation effect. It's not just the programming. Conservatives are more likely to seek out outlets that affirm their views. I agree with that. And I also think that's true for extreme left people. They tend to, they're going to seek out the MSNBCs. They want to hear what they want to hear. It's the person who is independent, truly, in their political thinking, that is open to new ideas and to questioning old ideas. That's the person that's going to be closest to reality, in my view. At least 2 studies have documented, for example, that Fox News viewers are more misinformed about this subject of global warming. In a late 2010 survey, Stanford University political scientist John Krosnick and visiting scholar Bo McInnes found that more exposure to Fox News was associated with more rejection of many mainstream scientists. They're saying now that 97% of those trained in this science agree that there is not only an unnatural climactic warming going up, but that it is dangerous and will lead to many other problems. I'm telling you that. I'm not reading this right now. I don't know. How do you disagree with 97% of scientists? I mean, I'm not saying that it hasn't happened in the past to good effect. Aristotle. How about? Well, I can think of some other ones. I just have to think. In fact, there was a 25 percentage point gap between the most frequent Fox News watchers, 60%, and those who watch no Fox News, 85%, and whether they think global warming is caused mostly by things people do or about equally by things people do and natural causes. What a gap. There was a much more comprehensive study released in late 2011, too late for Stewart or for PolitiFact. American University communications scholar Lauren Feldman and her colleagues reported on their analysis of a 2008 national survey which found that, quote, Fox News viewing manifest a significant negative association with global warming acceptance, unquote. They're creating doubt. That's all you've got to do. That's all you've got to do to throw half of America off the trail, to get them off of the scent, is just create a little doubt. It's brilliant work. It's unfortunately disastrous in consequence. It's real, folks. I don't know, if you understand science and core samples and 350 parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere, if you don't get those things and how they affect the ice caps and the water salinity and how that affects everything from coral reefs to the entire ecology of marine life and how that directly affects us, if you're not getting into that, then you're not understanding climate change at all. So nobody can help you. If you just want to hear what a few talking heads have to say about it could be bullshit, well, then you've lost the scent. Now, you're not hunting. That dog ain't hunting. Ground Zero Mosque, the 2010 election, PolitiFact swings and misses. Yeah, I don't want to pick on Fox anymore. It's kind of like pointing at somebody in the Special Olympics and saying they don't have very good athletic ability. That's not right, and I feel a little bit guilty for doing that. So, misinformation, though, that's something you have to understand. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this one, web hoaxes and misinformation from infotoday.com. Counterfeit parodies and spoofs. This actually looks pretty good. Malicious websites, product sites, science and health information. That's these chain mails that go around. PolitiFact's good for exposing those. Snopes, Scambusters. Yeah, this is a good website. I'm listing this. Info Today, talking about misinformation. Remember, for whatever reason, and it could be nothing but a practical joke, it could be something far more sinister, people are trying to get you away from the truth almost all the time. Are you going to let that happen? Are you? Do you share everything you see on Facebook without looking it up on Snopes? You're perpetuating myths. Is that okay with you? That's something you have to ask yourself. And when you're perpetuating myths, you are necessarily leading people away from the truth. So you can see these links that I've shared that all kind of close in on this topic for this show on the announcement for my show on the Facebook page, facebook.com/truthontap show. I encourage you to take a look at those sites. Stabby says the only legitimate news source is InfoWars. Yeah, that's right. Alex Jones, man. They're coming to get you. They're coming to get you. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you something here. There's a goddamn show. What do you mean you couldn't understand me? My sources tell me you could understand me. Yeah, the Obama administration seeks to indoctrinate your kids and sell them as sex slaves in Bangkok. Don't you know that? What's wrong with you? Oh, Lordy. You know, the people that listen to Alex Jones and believe 10% of what he says are the same people that keep the Inquirer in business. That's all I got to say about that. People insist on good information. He's selling you fear. There's a lot of unknowns in your life. He's picking those unknowns and saying, here's what's wrong. Here, you can fill that information gap. I'm going to fill it for you right now. And he's just spewing shit that'll make you more scared. Make you tune into his next exposure. I love looking at his evidence, man. His evidence sometimes of the people he has on. This is my friend Dan, who used to work in a government contractor's office, who used to work on asphalt for the government, and therefore he's an expert on nuclear weapons proliferation. The fuck are you talking about, Alex Jones? I'm telling you that man, even more so than Glenn Beck, needs psychological help. I firmly believe that. That's just my own experience talking. But I honestly see certain delusions there that are, I don't think, an act. I honestly don't think he's using it for the Hollywood effect. I think he really believes some of the shit he's saying. And that's terrifying, man. That's just me. I'm running out of gas here, guys. I don't think I have much left on this show, so I'm gonna give you a heads up. I'm gonna give you a heads up warning here. Last call. If you have anything to say, you want to get it on the air, go ahead and say it in the chat room or message on the Facebook page. I doubt Joanne's listening to this because she likes Glenn Beck, and I don't respect him as a news source. And that's just, sorry. But if you have something to say about it, if you do respect him and you have a good reason for it, I'd love to see it. Put it on the Facebook page, and I'll read it on the air, whatever. So I'm getting ready to go here, but I think maybe just for the fun of it, because I don't like to, in any of my shows, I like to have some fucking weird thing, And I think what I'll do is I'll play Rupert 1073's Fiesta. I can't remember how this song goes. I just know it's fucking weird. And we'll talk about something I haven't even briefly mentioned in this show, something completely obscure. And while I'm not feeling totally energized right now and necessarily able to select a topic like that, let me see. Say something in the chat room, guys. Give me a topic. Give me any topic. Stabby, I want to hear your idea for what I'm going to talk about during this song that's coming up, okay? And I'll take 15 or 20 seconds to think about it before I do it. So Stabby's going to pick the topic if he's still there. If he's already left the chat room, I'll go ahead and just pick one in a minute. But it'll be totally random. I mean, I'll literally think of a couple of words and put them together and we'll go. Just for fun, just for impromptu. Why the hell not? He's either thinking or he's already left the chat room. And so we'll see here in a second. Apocalypse is still eating, I presume. I'm hungry as shit right now, too. I'll tell you, folks. I saw a new video today on how to boil and peel eggs. I've always had a problem with it. I boil mine for about, you're supposed to have them on full boil for a minute. Then I let them cool for 14 minutes or so. And then I run them under cold water, and I still end up with part of the egg always stuck to the shell. So that's my problem with boiling eggs. I've never really learned how to do that. All right, I don't think Stabby's going to pick a topic here. I was looking for an odd topic of something to talk about on our way out. So it may not be that odd. It may not be that obscure. Let me think. I'll pick, I literally put zero thought into this. Let's talk about the meaning of life And it may involve components of what happens if you remove religion, motivation. Are you happy? Do you feel fulfilled? We'll talk about shit like that. So fire it up. I want you to hit it, Rupert 1073 with Fiesta. And we're going to have us a little party here for 4 minutes. What's the meaning of life? What if there is no religion? Let's start with that premise. You're saying, well, Kevin, I don't believe that. Well, okay, this is entertainment, all right? It's false. It's a soap opera. So there is no religion. There is no God. What would be the purpose of us being here? What if our only purpose was to serve as a farm for some alien life form? You know, we're an ant farm. We produce what? Maybe they want carbon dioxide. Maybe they want, maybe we're some 13-year-old alien kid science project on a very time-condensed scale. But what's the point of it? You start off at 0 years old, and let's say you die at 74 years old, and you look back. What did you accomplish? Did you do anything meaningful? Did you leave anything behind for people? I mean, even if you improved their lives, what did you really do? Just another mass of people still living, right? We're still killing each other in wars. Diseases are still spreading. We're still attacking each other. What have you really done to make the world a better place? And what I'm asking not is you should feel guilty for not doing enough, but has it mattered? All the hard work you may have done to try to make humanity better, has it mattered? What if nobody in the past had tried to make the world a better place? Would it be that much worse than it is right now? Could it be even better? Could be. What's the purpose of life? You know, life's hard, man. Waking up sucks. Having to go to sleep sucks. Having to eat, having these inefficient biological processes we have. We're always shitting and pissing. We have sickness and disease and terrible thoughts, and we're always paying a price for something. You notice that? If you go running, you're going to hurt. If you don't go running, you're going to hurt. Life is not easy. But life is... It does make you wonder, what the fuck is the point of this? Is it a school? Do you think there's a bunch of aliens or spirits or something in some plane we can't recognize, maybe living inside the moon, and they're jacked into these headsets and they're living our lives for classroom experience? Yeah, I was Kevin. I had some experience with the military, you know, did some college, came up in a sort of a troubled childhood, did a little talk radio. Yeah, I learned some shit last night on the headset because their time is far condensed compared to ours. Who knows? What is the point of life? What's the point of it? What if we didn't live? How would that change the universe? I'm here to say that my gut tells me it wouldn't make a big difference. Yeah, that's what my gut tells me. I think that there's just as much life in the universe as if you were to take a microcosmic view of life on Earth and spread it out across a big flat map. I think there's just as much life throughout the universe. And that maybe it's just spontaneous. And maybe we're just a product of random chance. Maybe that's true, folks. Maybe it's true. And if it is, we're not that special, are we? Well, all we can do, I guess, is love each other and try to make it enjoyable. I don't know what else to do that's meaningful. Except understand the truth. Don't let people mislead you, my friends. Don't let them. Yep, so there it is, Rupert 1073's Fiesta, and we'll cut it on that. I encourage you to tune in to future shows, call in, check it out, and get the fuck out. How about that? That is that, and here goes this.